All right, so this is a game I played earlier where I should have lost in the end, but actually my opponent missed the mistake I made, and so I actually ended up coming up with a win. So basically it just starts off e4, c6, d4, d5, just normal Carl Khan. He ends up taking my pawn, and I just end up taking back. This is just the exchange variation. It's pretty straightforward. He trades off his middle pawn, and then I trade off my bishop pawn here. Just developing the knights here, honestly. Just trying to get my pieces out. Nothing too crazy. I have to attack his knight. I can't place it here because of his bishop. And then I just developed this pawn just to try and get out my dark squared bishop so that I can castle as well. I play that little in-between move. I usually like to play this just to kick the bishop back either way, just so that when I do castle, I already have an extra square for my king. And then I just end up blocking with the bishop. I could have played here. The engine did want bishop d6, but I ended up playing bishop e7 just because it felt more natural just to have something to counterattack this bishop with. I end up castling. Here I offered a queen trade simply because he was attacking this pawn. I felt like going here is just too passive, and so I wanted to meet his queen with mine, and he ended up taking. Typically doubled pawns is not a good thing, but I just thought it was okay simply because now my rook has an open file. He ends up playing this move, knight e5. The reason I don't take here, you can't take this knight because if he takes, my knight is under attack, and then if I move my knight, he just takes my bishop for free, and then I'm totally lost in this game. So that's why I had to play this in-between move right here, block the bishop, which forces him to go back. Now here, technically, if I wanted to, I could take, but the reason I don't want to take is because then it puts pressure right here on my knight, and then I end up having to move the knight anyway. Plus, if he can take this knight, I'm more than happy, because then it undoubles my pawns that I just doubled earlier, so it would improve my structure actually if he did take my knight. So I end up playing king g7 simply because I just don't want any checks in the future. When you have this setup right here with a knight and the king like that, the knight cannot check you in any way for like at least 3 moves. So that's why I end up playing that move just for safety. I didn't want any checks or anything like that, and it just felt like it held down the position a little bit better. He plays this move, f4. I end up pulling my bishop back. I didn't want to take this pawn simply because then it just opens up his rook. I really did not want that. We get some exchanges here. This move I misplayed. Right when I played it, I knew it was a little bit of a mistake, because then he plays this move, which gets his knight in here. What I should have played is probably something like this, because now his knight has nowhere to go. He can't take this pawn because my bishop is protecting that, and then he can't go here because then I'll just take. And then he would recapture, but it wouldn't be the same necessarily. But anyways, I end up playing the pawn move, and then I actually end up having to move my knight backwards, unfortunately, because I can't defend this pawn with any other piece. This piece can't defend it, the knight can't, the rook can't. I can't even defend it with my king because the knight's covering that square as well. So this is the only move I had to play. He ends up pinning me, pinning my knight to the king. I end up taking that piece first, that open pawn, because really this setup is not really threatening in the moment. If I let him develop a few more pieces like the 2 rooks, then I could be in trouble. But I realized that I have to just get out of the way just so I can move my knight at some point. He makes a little mistake of taking. He should not have taken there, because now it just relieves the pressure, and now I can actually free up my rook and my bishop a little bit. So now you can see, as the eval bar says, it's a little bit closer to equal here. And then I make a mistake as well. I should not have played this move. For some reason, I just didn't think this was good. But what I should have realized is that all these squares are covered. So this rook is really like useless for now because it can't get in at all if I just move the bishop a little bit back. Instead, I move it forward, and he actually plays a good move. He takes my bishop, and then now he actually pins my knight to the rook. Now, at this point, I realize I'm kind of semi-screwed because it's like, well, I can't move this piece, or else I just lose the rook, and I can't move the rook because then I lose the knight. So all I had to move was the king. That's the only move I have. So I chase down the rook, essentially. And then we get some back and forth a little bit. The reason he moves back and forth is because all these squares are covered by me, essentially. He ends up running away. What he actually could have done in this scenario that I didn't even see, it's actually a tricky move to find, but it's actually bishop b5. If he plays this move, I just lose the game straight up because I can't attack any of his pieces without losing mine. I could go here, but then he just has this, and then I'm just straight up losing. I can't, there's no way for me to attack his bishop or attack his rook without losing one of my pieces. So basically he's winning if he just brings the king in at some point, and there's nothing I can do. But he didn't spot that, and so he ends up just going back to where he came from. So my first instinct is to just move the knight, get it off of the back rank so that I can free up my pieces. He plays this weird move. He plays g4. Not really sure why he plays that move when he had other better options. It's not a bad move per se, but it's also not a great move. I attack the rook, just developing my knight even more. This is protected, so I just put my rook on the open file, and it also cuts off his king, which is pretty key. I was thinking of moving it to possibly this rank, but the problem is that I lose control of this more middle file, which has more control of the board. He moves his king up, which is actually a good move. It prevents my rook from getting in, so I literally can't get my rook in either. So neither of our rooks can get in fully. It's kind of like a drawish position anyway, so I go for a quick check. He offers a pawn trade. The reason I don't take here, if I take, he just takes, and now he has two pieces on my weak pawn, which just is not good because if I try and defend it, he'll find a way to get his king involved. If I go here, he can play this, and then all of a sudden I'm just losing this pawn straight up. If I try and attack this pawn, he's just going to take this one. And then all of a sudden, he has eyes on both my pawns, and I have eyes on nothing of his. So that's why I didn't take that pawn. Those are the things you have to be very careful of in endgames. Not all pawn trades are the same. So I let him take me because that's a totally different scenario than if I took his pawn. At this point, I'm just trying to attack anything, maybe waiting for a fork, maybe waiting for something like this. I just go for a quick check, trying to defend my pawn here in this scenario. And then he threatens my my knight, which is a good move. Now I'm not sure why he didn't take my pawn in this scenario. I think he just messed up. But I tried to defend it. I end up losing a pawn in that trade, but I'm okay with that to an extent, just because I knew I had a little bit of a disadvantage in this situation. So I move the king over, just trying to get more control of the board. I threaten his b pawn. He pushes. I'm just trying to maintain control here. The reason I don't block with this rook is because if he takes, I take my pawn back. He's just totally winning. I can't win this position. He would have two free pawns going towards the end of the board, and I just lose. So I have no choice but to move to the side here. And then he plays this really weird move. I'm not sure why he did this. He just totally gave up this pawn for some reason. Probably just a normal blunder. And then here he makes a mistake that the issue with this though is I have a totally unblocked pawn here, and so does he. However, mine's on the edge. My pawns are on opposite sides of the board, which is crucial for pawn endgames, and then his are all on the same side of the board. So I can go target all his pawns at the same time. Meanwhile, he has to split his resources and decide which one to defend, which side to defend. So you can see that he goes for that, my edge pawn, but I'm actually okay with that because I know that I can go grab his pawns before he can grab mine. And this is the key moment right here. This is the key moment right here that I totally messed up in game. I wasn't even that low on time. I wasn't paying attention to the time, but for some reason I felt like I was low on time, and I just habitually just took that pawn. However, it's a draw after if he just takes that top pawn. However, what he must not have realized, because he played his move in less than a second, is he took this bottom pawn without even thinking. And so that actually lets me win the game, because now he can go here and I just push the pawn. I just straight up push the pawn the whole way, and he can't do anything about it. So he totally messed that up. He resigns in this position because it's obviously totally lost. But that just shows you that even at the high level, you can make mistakes, like very, very simple mistakes, like playing the wrong move here, taking instead of just pushing. Because now in this scenario, he can't take this pawn right here because I'm defending it. He can try and go like here or something like that, but then I can just play this check move real quick, and then it's the same position as well. So little minor differences you have to be careful of when you're playing, not just taking pawns mindlessly. Rather, you have to think which one to push first. Excuse me, like that. All right, that's it for this one, but hopefully that helped.